So I wanted to try out do a comparison. Not technically, we can do more nails or anything, but the Metabo and kind of some commodity pancake compressor. Like I have a Bostitch, it was 100, I forgot, maybe $200 with a couple nailers, versus the Metabo tank, which I'll give you the specifics on it. That's about 250, so maybe $100 more. So I compared it against, just kind of the look of it, the feel of it. What are you getting for that extra $100? You're actually getting, it can compress the air at 50 psi more within the tank, so it's like almost like having 30% more air within that same 6 gallon. It's a little heavier, but one thing I found was that they're both good at, the form factors are really almost the same. They're good just to one hand carry, which you carry most, but I'm sure you've had this where you have to get it through a door or something where you need to kind of get two hands. And I actually found that the Metabo actually has a longer, one of the nice things, it has a lot wider handle, and actually getting two hands on it and carrying it for that little bit actually was a lot more comfortable. Again, just these small things that make them a little bit different. This is the Metabo EC914S. They're a higher end pancake compressor, easier called the tank. Has some interesting features to it. It has 200 max psi instead of the other ones that do 150, 160 or so, which is helps out when your tank is set to 200 psi and you're only pulling off 90, 100 or so. It gives you a lot more air, specifically to, even if you have the same 6-gallon tank like the other ones. It's got a pretty hefty motor. You can see it does 4 cubic feet per minute at 90, which is pretty impressive for a small size. It's a little bit heavier than most of the others, and I'm comparing those to the others because this is probably, you can get the general pancakes without the accessories for, or the other nailers for like 100, 150, sort of like that, maybe up to 200. This one's 250 at the moment, so it's a little higher. But again, you're getting the more, you're essentially compressing more air into a smaller tank, so it's like having a little bit larger tank. I tested out the decibels, the sound that they put out when they're running. It's in pretty much the worst case scenario here, but that's just a good place to test it. Within a house, actually within a basement, concrete wall behind, 7 feet high. So they went significantly over what they were rated for. Like I said, I think the Metabo said it does like just under 80 decibels or something like that, where I saw it in the 90s, but it was pretty close to my Bostitch, which was about the same thing, around about 90 or so. So the noise it's not really any louder than that. I compared it against my California Air Tool, which is made specifically to be quiet, which is rated like 60 decibels or so like that, and it was in the 70s. So it was again, it was higher just because of the environment, but I also saw it as significantly quieter. But I mean, that's why you get the quieter ones, so you can run them inside if needed. Just the overall quality of it, you can just feel it's a little bit better. It's got a nice covered toggle switch here, which is pretty beefy. Like I said, comparing it to some of the other ones, the Just the gauge is a little bit larger. You can definitely tell it in the way the regulator moves. Just the tightness of it just, again, feels a little bit better. It's a little bit heavier. I think it weighs in about 41 pounds versus my other. And I'll just give it a minute. I have a Bostitch, which is kind of, again, like the lower line. It weighs about 30 pounds. You know, picking up, it really didn't feel that much different. I can put them next to each other. Because here's a comparison. You can see it's really not that much bigger. Looking at it, the body's pretty close. The height maybe a little bit bigger. I mean, the tank size is the same. They're both 6 gallon. So again, this isn't a specific comparison because they're really different, two different model lines. Like I said, Metabo makes a smaller one, but just giving you an idea, that's fed. But the 10 extra pound really didn't feel that much different. Again, you can, this has the manifold taken off on it, but again, you can kind of see just, you know, all the other pieces, just a little bit better quality on it. Knob, you may not be able to tell, but the feel of it is a little bit better. Again, this is generally what they'll do. The lower line to be doing 150 psi, whereas this can, you know, go up to 200 into the same, so compressing more air. It's about the same, 2.5, 2.6. That's about normal, whereas this will do 4 cubic feet per minute. So it's pretty impressive for the package. Again, it'd be like maybe about $100 more, but you're almost getting 2 compressors in here because the amount of cubic feet it can do and the amount of air they can put in, they're supposed to be able to run multiple nailers off of it. But overall, I mean, it seems like really what you're getting for that is pretty impressive, that you can get, you know, 4 CSM cubic feet per minute versus 2.5 or 2.6 at 90 within the same form factor. Again, you get a little bit extra weight. You almost get an extended, you know, 30% more air because of the higher cubic feet, or sorry, the higher pressure that it can compress the air and therefore get that in. So you're obviously not running any tools at 200. You're gonna be running them at, who knows, whatever, 90, 100. So if you're doing a nailer, so you're not pulling, you know, straight off that 200. So overall, I think it's a pretty handy tool to have, especially if you need to run couple nailers. It's going to give you a little bit better performance than a regular pancake compressor, but within that same form factor, and like I said, slightly heavier, but I kind of like the ergonomics of it better.